Let's get this week started with a fine Monday. This is Outnumbered. I'm Harris Faulkner, here today, host of Kennedy on Fox Business Kennedy. Also from FBN, co-host of After the Bell, Melissa Francis, Democratic strategist Julie Roginski, and today's hashtag One Lucky Guy, the furious, the fierce on Twitter. And also the editor of the National Review, Jonah Goldberg, is outnumbered.
He's never furious.
I'm often furious.
You were on Twitter last night.
Fierce.
Yes.
Oh, my goodness. No, good to have you.
But just for clarification, Rich Lowry's the editor of National Review. I'm the layabout who, sits around and sleeps on the couch at National.
Ooh,
Senior
that's a
editor.
good job.
Yes, I'm a senior editor, yes.
Okay, editor, senior editor.
Editor means like you're in charge, and that's the one thing I don't want to be.
Okay, but you are on Twitter, so there.
I am on Twitter, often, yes.
There you go. All right, say hi to Rich, too,
I will.
by the way. Hillary Clinton on hold. The Democratic nominee for president sidelined over a bout with pneumonia. Her team canceling a 2-day trip to California after abruptly leaving the 9/11 ceremony at Ground Zero yesterday. Watch the video. It shows former Secretary Clinton being held up by 3 people and helped into a van as she appeared to be stumbling on the brink of a collapse. Her doctor later in the day said she'd been diagnosed with a pneumonia last Friday. Our own Jennifer Griffin joins us now, and you have been near the Clinton home in Chappaqua, New York, since shortly after Hillary Clinton was taken there yesterday. And some news now breaking that we can confirm on Fox News. Bring it to us.
Well, what we can confirm, Harris, People magazine has reported that several senior aides to Hillary Clinton were felled with a bug in recent weeks. They were sick. One even had to be taken to the hospital. We can confirm that some of her senior aides were sick with a bug, but I'm told by campaign aides that it is not related to Hillary Clinton's illness and that she did not catch her pneumonia from those other senior aides. What is interesting is nobody will tell us whether she received an X-ray to confirm the diagnosis of pneumonia or whether she was ever taken to a hospital to confirm that diagnosis. Press is really being kept at bay at this point. In fact, we're not allowed close to her house. These barricades were set up by the Secret Service weeks ago for her protection. Clinton, we are told, is resting at home and feeling much better today. Campaign communications chief Jen Palmieri responded to criticism from President Obama's former advisor, David Axelrod, about the secrecy surrounding Clinton's health, admitting, quote, "We could have done better yesterday, but it is a fact that the public knows more about HRC, Hillary Clinton, than any nominee in history." Clinton's doctor issued this statement last night, quote, "Secretary Clinton has been experiencing a cough related to allergies. On Friday, during a follow-up evaluation of her prolonged cough, she was diagnosed with pneumonia. I have just examined her, and she is now rehydrated and recovering nicely." Video posted on social media showed aides helping her to the van as her Secret Service detail opened the door after she left the 9/11 ceremony. My colleague Rick Leventhal was the first to report this. Her knees appeared to buckle. She lost a shoe as she stepped forward and stumbled forward toward the vehicle, cutting short her visit to the memorial. 90 minutes later, she emerged from her daughter Chelsea's downtown Manhattan apartment about noon, smiling and waving. She even signed an autograph with a young supporter. That's before we knew she had pneumonia. When she had an extended coughing fit exactly 1 week ago during a Labor Day picnic in Ohio, she and her aides told us she had allergies and was taking an antihistamine. The cough caused her to interrupt a speech and later a press briefing.
Every time I think about Trump, I get allergic.
I have spoken, Harris, to several people who were in that national security briefing, that forum in Manhattan on Friday, and they say that they didn't notice anything wrong with her, but that was the same day that her doctor, Lisa Bardock, says she was diagnosed with pneumonia. Later that night, she went to the fundraiser where Barbara Streisand sang. Back to you, Harris.
And I know you shared with us on Fox Report last night, you asked her about her allergies, and she kind of joked and said that she was doing okay. Jennifer Griffin, thank you very much. Let's talk now about Donald Trump, who's reacting to news of Hillary Clinton's illness. Earlier on Fox News, the GOP nominee wished his opponent a speedy recovery and said we can expect the results of his recent physical. Watch.
I hope she gets well soon. I don't know what's going on. I'm like you. I see what I see. The coughing fit was a week ago, so I assume that was pneumonia also. I mean, I would think it would have been, so something's going on, but I just hope she gets well and gets back on the trail, and we'll be seeing her at the debate.
So health is an issue now, right?
I think it's an issue. In fact, this last week, I took a physical, and I'll be releasing when the numbers come in. Hopefully they're going to be good. I think they're going to be good. I feel great. But when the numbers come in, I'll be releasing very, very, very specific numbers.
So as this was breaking yesterday, part of our coverage was to ask the question whether this would change the narrative about health records released from both these candidates. Obviously, it's doing that. I saw you tweet last night that it sounds like Donald Trump is taking some good advice.
Yeah, actually, that was this morning. I think everyone knows that I'm a bit of a critic of Donald Trump's. That was the smartest, most disciplined thing I've seen Trump do in a long time. He's had a really hard time learning the fundamental lesson of politics, which is that when your opponent is getting themselves into a huge amount of trouble, stay out of the way. Don't muddy the storyline. This story is about Hillary Clinton. It's a negative story about Hillary Clinton. The worst thing Trump could have done was to overplay his hand this morning, and he didn't do it, which was a remarkably disciplined thing for him to do.
You know, Julie, again, as this was breaking, one thing that came to mind was Ben Rhodes all those months ago, who talked about how they looked for friendly reporters to put certain things about the Iran deal to. Yesterday, the NBC pool for everybody was sending out messages saying, we're pinned in. 90 minutes went by, many, many minutes went by, not knowing exactly where she was, what had happened. Fast forward, if this were to be our president, is this some sort of something that we should look at?
Well, both these candidates have been horrible with the protective pool, and both of them should let a protective pool in, and this applies across the board. I wholeheartedly...
But not both candidates had a medical issue like she did yesterday.
So another candidate can have a medical issue today. It doesn't matter. You have a protective pool for this very reason. But I will second exactly what Jonah said. This is the best I've ever seen Donald Trump. He handled this perfectly, I hope, for his sake and his campaign's sake. He takes Kellyanne Conway or whoever's giving him this advice and gets out of the way. I'm also going to be a little critical of the Hillary campaign on this issue. If she was diagnosed with this on Friday, why not come out and say it? What is the big mystery? You have walking pneumonia. So what? It actually explains a lot.
I have walking pneumonia. I have walking pneumonia right now. I've been
coughing
sick.
on me?
I have coughed on you many, many times on this.
Kennedy's been sick for
I've
weeks.
been sick since the end of the Democratic National Convention, and Harris knows they've had to kill my
Some
microphone.
of us would say for far, far longer. But that's a...
But just in
and you and I talked about kind of the journey that you've taken, getting a little better and getting a little worse.
Getting diagnosed and going and seeing 3 doctors so I can actually do my job. I think it's incredibly irresponsible that she's blaming it on serious allergies, and either there are some concerns with the medical team who is treating her right now, or she's very irresponsible with her health.
Wait,
can I just get in for 1 second? So many questions, and I'm sorry that I'm not being as sensitive as Donald Trump right now, but I think it's incredibly important to address these things.
Can I finish my initial point, though?
Who's going to be president
got in here at all, but go ahead.
But let me just finish my initial point, which is that if she was diagnosed on Friday, not when she thought she had allergies, which was before Friday, but if she was diagnosed on Friday, let's take her at her word. Why not just come out and say it on Friday?
Why not? I don't think we should take her at her word because her word changed and changed and changed and changed. She had allergies, then she was dehydrated, then she had pneumonia. Look, when she made that statement over the weekend, when she did the basket of deplorables, as I was watching that, her speech was slurring. Her eyes were hooded. I was like, what is wrong? Is she okay? That's what I thought when I watched that video the first time before we saw any of this. They have changed the story again and again. If you were following it live yesterday, they changed it a zillion times. When you discourage inquiry of journalists, that's not what journalists are about. We're supposed to ask continued questions. I think it's right to be suspicious. I think what's going on is worrisome.
But access is key. And if you don't have access, and then you kind of get shamed if you want to ask about a certain subject,
exactly.
Which is what was happening with her team.
Pneumonia.
Because there were these, as they were calling them, conspiracy theories out there. One of those theories, and I said this last night, was that the coughing might have been something more serious. That actually turned out to be true. Not to give credence to anything else, but, you know, sometimes, as Melissa's saying, we are just doing our job.
Yeah, no, look, I agree with Julie on this. Like, it would have been so smart for them to simply say, oh, she's got pneumonia. People get pneumonia because pneumonia is not a symptom of the brain tumor that all the conspiracy theorists say that she has.
Right.
It's an explanation. But this goes to the fundamental problem with Hillary Clinton isn't her health. It's that this story highlights the secretiveness, the deception, the non-trustworthy stuff. It's like whenever there's a problem, even if there's no fire, they turn on the smoke machines to make everybody think there's a fire.
Exactly
is
what I
this a
was
sign
saying.
of what she would be like if she were in the White House?
Absolutely.
Yes,
She's a
why
paranoid
would
person.
she change? Why would we assume that a 68-year-old is going to change at this point in their life? And you're absolutely right. It betrays all of these things that she's having the biggest problem with. And it's not her health that most
who
people
cares
are
that she got
concerned with,
pneumonia?
but they're concerned with the fact that she is an incredibly secretive person who also surrounds herself with sycophants, one of whom may happen to have a medical degree.
One of them wasn't with her yesterday, and there were some questions about if Uma Abedin had been there, would things have gone differently, because she's that person who is there between her and the rest of the world. We'll leave that aside. There's another thing that's happening, though, Julie. And if you look at some of the battleground states, there were some number flips over the weekend, Nevada, New Hampshire, where Clinton and Trump, and, of course, Georgia and Florida. Clinton's running ads in that red state of Georgia. They're tightening. So you've got that going on. But you also have this narrative that Donald Trump has started with being vigorous and being energetic, and how she's the opposite of that. If you say you have pneumonia, is that problematic? Do you give him weapons?
Here's what I would do, and I would advise her to do this immediately. Release the medical records. I said this on this couch last week or 2 weeks ago. I forgot when the subject first came up, and I said both of these candidates, and frankly, anybody running for president between now and the end of eternity, needs to release medical records. We are all entitled to see what kind of health you're in. That applies to Donald Trump. He claims he's going to do it very quickly. He should. He's 70 years old. His diet looks abhorrent to me. He's overweight.
I don't think that solves anything. I don't believe anything she has to say now.
Do you believe him? Do you believe his doctor with that medical bill?
Her health and the fact that she's changed, because she's changed her story 4 times in 48 hours. No, he hasn't changed his story. He hasn't said he had allergies, and then said he was dehydrated, and then said he's fine, and then said he had pneumonia.
Wait, so
she has changed her story 4 times over the weekend about what's wrong with her. I don't know why we would ever believe anything she says at all.
I'm saying we need more transparency from both candidates. You're saying, oh, no, we only need transparency from one of these candidates.
Everybody release all the medical records you want. I don't believe in them. I don't believe in
find some middle ground.
He's not passing out on the sidewalk.
Okay, a very quick and easy solution that will satisfy both of you.
Solutions I love.
Both have legitimate concerns. An independent medical panel examines both candidates.
Agreed.
No longer these personal
live
physicians.
on television.
Agreed. Not about live.
Can we do it on FBS?
Most viewers on C-SPAN ever.
Well, we know
that was good.
The media couldn't get anywhere near that, and we can barely get near her. After 278 days, she started talking to reporters, coughing, losing her voice. Interesting. All right, we'll move on. Hillary Clinton is partially walking back comments that Melissa mentioned. She made this weekend, calling half of Donald Trump supporters, quote, a basket of deplorables. Trump says her comment is the biggest mistake of her political season. Is he right? And the Seattle Seahawks locked arms as NFL players across the nation joined in Colin Kaepernick's national anthem protest. This happening the same day we marked 15 years since September 11th. Hashtag Sense Matters. Is this another black eye for the NFL? And join us live on the web after the show on TV. Click the Overtime tab on foxnews.com/outnumbered or go to facebook.com/outnumberedfnc. Facebook Live. We can't wait to see you there. Or you can tweet us. Our handles on the screen like magic.